So this is Danny Flexon here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by top trainer, manager, promoter, Joe Gallagher. Joe, how you doing?
Hi Danny, how are you? Happy New Year.
Yeah, happy New Year. Did you give yourself much time off over Christmas, or was it in the gym
No, I
throughout?
did to be fair. No, I did to be fair. Obviously, after the Japan, I had a couple of weeks off, and yeah, we were back in beginning of January. Yeah,
How's it been since that? I know I've spoke to Paul, obviously, since the defeat to Inoue. He seems relatively positive. I mean, there were positives to take out of reaching that stage in the first place. And Inoue, certainly at bantamweight, looks unbeatable.
yeah. No, listen, he's a good fighter in your way. Yeah, listen, Paul did well. I was really pleased with him. A lot of things that we worked on, he did in the fight. A bit disappointed in the criticism, disappointed in people that were putting money saying that it wouldn't go past 2 rounds. It was just upright from when the fight was made. It was either under two or over two or something silly like that. And it's like, then when he went 11 rounds, they criticised him for going 11 rounds. It's you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But yeah, Inouye's moved up now. Paul's having a little bit of time off, and then he's most probably looking back at coming back and try to fight for his version of his world title.
And 2022 was a fantastic year for Natasha Jonas as well.
Yeah.
Three belts in 1 year after waiting all that time before. Um, there's a lot of talk now of the Clarissa Shields fight. Their team seem to want it from tweets I've seen from Shields and Mark Taffet and so on. How close are we to getting that on?
Yeah, listen, it was a brilliant year 2022 for Natasha. And three of them belts, as you mentioned, Danny, two of them was won within 10 weeks. She won in WBC in September, had a week off, and then it was put to us, do you want to go again in 8 weeks? So, yeah, she do. So she won it with the ring belt against Maria Dakar. So she's had a good Christmas, good time off. And now 2023, we're talking to a couple of people about certain fights. Carissa Shields is one that's in the frame. Cecilia Breckhouse is another. And there's a couple more as well. So it's just putting the jigsaw pieces together. Carissa's commitments with her MMA. I think
Of
she
course.
has to take part in a fight in June. But I think it's a fight. As Natasha said, she doesn't back down from anyone. She'd want to have the fight. I'm sure Carissa would want to come back down and challenge for her old belts again. So there's a long way to go with them discussions yet. But that's one of them. But it's a positive sign. So have you seen at the end of last year, a lot of the stuff that was handed out, fighter of the year was Carissa Shields, runner up Tasha Jonas. Some other people are Tasha fight of the year,
Mm.
runner up Carissa Shields. So it is one of the big fights to be made this year in women's boxing. On the back of Carissa's success with Savannah. Um, like I say, I think a rematch with Savannah is got to take a little bit of time to make. I don't think it's an immediate rematch. I think Savannah's got to have one or two fights. But like I say, I know Tasha also has an eye on wanting to fight at Anfield as well. So she's greedy, Tasha. She only wanted a world title, and here we are in 2023, and she's wanting it all still. But she's in the gym, she's working hard, and as she always does. And yeah, she did well on commentary the other night for Sky Sports as well.
Yeah, she always does. And you got Mark Heffron as well, of course. Career best year for him in 2022, finally winning that British title at the third opportunity. He looks great up at super middleweight as well. What's kind of next for him? Is it consolidating at British level, or is it pushing on towards European and world?
I think for Mark at the stage where he is and the ages, I think we need to push on with Mark. Speaking to Kevin Marie, his manager, and from what I'm hearing from Frank, I think we really have to keep moving with Mark, keep that momentum going. I'd like to see Mark move on, fight somebody in the top 10, top 15, and an eliminator of sorts, and push on and look at that 168 world title scene by the back end of the year. He's 30, 31 now, Mark. It's listen, you're seeing Echo Esserman at the weekend having 5 fights for the British title. I don't think that's something Mark's got to stick around and wanting to do. He's won the British, he's won the Commonwealth now. I think the domestic scene's done now, and I think he needs to move on and get in the mix on the world stage.
You talked about the weekend there. In the main event, we saw what for many people was a surprise result. Not that Liam Smith won, but the manner in which he did it. Eubank Jr. never been stopped before and got absolutely taken out in round 4. I don't mean to laugh about it. It's just a shock, if anything. Probably the biggest win of Liam's career, which is strange considering he's been a world champion, but just the profile of Eubank, the way in which he won it. Do you get a sense of pride from that, having worked with him for so long previously?
Yeah, you do. Listen, everyone has a part to play in the story in every chapter, but yeah, listen, full credit to Joe Mack and Declan. They did a really good job getting Liam in condition for that fight. And Liam, I've always said to Liam, his S&C, Johnny, messaged me the other day saying you was right, because I'd said to Liam a few years ago, get the Eubank fight, you'll beat Eubank. But I don't think that there was an appetite, or Eubank was with some other promoter or whatever, but the fight couldn't be made. But I said to him, you'd beat Eubank, and I was pleased to say, and I'd picked Liam to win. The manner of the win is what shocked everyone. But Liam has always been a solid hitter and a precise hitter and a constant hitter, and it will hit you with a 2, 3, 4, 5, and none of them are light. They're all solid shots. I felt sorry for Chris Eubank. I know he lost, but I just feel he's had a torrid time. He's had an awful lot going on. Obviously, the loss of his brother, his dad not being in the best place, the huge Conor Benn fallout. And the other night, walking to the ring, I was doing comms with Steve Bunce, and he asked me on the ring walks, and I said, well, listen, Liam Smith is quiet in the background there. He'll have a moment to himself and that. So, but once he gets on that platform and sees the crowd, Liam's eyes will light up and go, yeah, let's have it. This is it. And then when he switched to Chris Eubank Jr., he looked very quiet. He looked very slow and didn't have the sparkle in his eye like he did. And the corner seemed very subdued and quiet. It was like Eubank Jr. was going to the guillotine, if that made sense. Yeah, so listen, I was really pleased for Liam, but I think Eubank Jr. now needs to, whether he wants to activate the rematch clause, but he needs to just regroup and just maybe have a little bit of time out. And I don't know. I don't know him that personal. Eubank Jr., the pride, the ego, everything else, I'm sure say, no, let's do the rematch at Anfield, and he wants to put it right. Eubank, and Chris, I'm sure would say, well, you see me all at 50%, you'll see me at 100% at Anfield. He'll put a spin on it on some way or another. But it was, I agreed with George Groves a little bit. It was a little bit sad, but take nothing away from Liam Smith's performance. It was a good performance. And the talk now is Anfield. Now, whether that be Kell Brook or Triple G or Eubank Jr., any one of them three would tick boxes for that fight night that everyone's been talking about. Goodison had it with Tony Bellew. Now it's the red side of Liverpool to have their night. And I know Tasha's already saying, I'm on that bill. I've got a fight on that bill. I've got a fight. And I'm sure there'll be plenty of Liverpool ex-fighters out there that'll be wanting to come out of retirement to try and jump on that show as well. So, yeah, because it's not so much a boxing show. It's got to be an event at Anfield when it happens. And looking at the football club, I expect that to happen most of the end of May, beginning of June. I don't think they'd want an event happening in August when the season's just around the corner starting. So I think that's, if it happened, it would be in and around that time. But fingers crossed it does happen. It would be great for the city. It'd be great for Liam Smith and everyone up in and around that area.
How much do you still get excited about big events like that? You've been in the sport for so long and taken part in so many. Does that still get your juices flowing, a big stadium show?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I was sat ringside the other night and I was doing comms, obviously, with Ronald McIntosh and Steve Bunce. And as the ring walks to the corner, I showed Bunce in my hand and it was like the nerves are going in the hand. We just started laughing. No, it's much for Liam because you have a working relationship and that, but just the event and then to take the headphones off and just listen to the crowd and the roar. And someone else just interviewed me before. We were saying with boxing 2023, it really has to deliver this year. Now, last year we got off to a great start with Khan Brook and we had Liam Williams and all Cattrall and Taylor. And then it took its foot off. Now, there was huge talk 2 weeks ago about the show in London with Misfits and everything else. There's no world titles on that line, but people coming out to watch it. There was no world titles on the line Saturday night, but people came out and watched it. If you put the right fight together, people will come out and watch and support it. And boxing this year has got to have the right fights, and it doesn't need world titles. You can make the big fights, and the people who have got titles, then them fights should be made The best really have to do the best this year. Boxing last year damaged itself. Conor Benn, that black cloud still lingers going into 2023. That needs to get cleared up. But boxing itself, the best have to fight the best this year, because when we get it right, like we did the other night, it's brilliant. Had everyone talking it. The fight was in all the big national papers, the Guardian, the Independent, the Times, to understand. And that's what we want, boxing back on the back pages of the newspapers and on the television and on the news and on your regional news. And that's what we want. But by doing that, the best have to fight the best. Otherwise, boxing's got to become an even smaller niche sport.